Do you want to soar? Do you want to fly? If you do, stay tuned because today I have a very special guest. I have another fabulous woman joining us in our Fab Rich Women's Wealth Creation Wednesday show. Hi, I'm Evie Diaz, strategic growth speaker at Biz University, author of the Fab Rich Future Self Now Journal, and your host here at our Fab Rich Women's Wealth Creation Wednesday show. And today I have a very special guest because she's going to be sharing with you a book, which actually was the book that we used for our March Women's Celebration Month. So please help me to welcome my friend, a professional speaker and author, a very well-known woman's leader, Michelle Villalobos. Let me bring you on. Hold on
Hi.
a second. There we go. Hi, Michelle.
Hi,
It's
Evie.
such
How
a
are you?
pleasure to have you with me today, and you looking fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's beautiful to be here.
Oh, I am so grateful. Let me begin by saying, I know that some people may be wondering if they didn't tune in March, that we started our March Women's Month with your book, and everybody loved it. I think it was in March that you were here in Miami, right?
Mhm.
And you share the book. And of course, I want you to share it today because I absolutely love it. I love the illustrations. I love the person in the story is V. My name is Evie, and I find it so relatable. But before we get to that, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you for those that may not know you already.
Hi. Okay, great. I'm Michelle Villalobos. My company, my name is the Superstar Activator. And what I do is I help people to step into their fullest self-expression. So my work for the last 15 years has been some version of helping people brand themselves, market themselves, and do such in a way that's authentic, that's aligned, that's joyful, that's energy rich. And partly because, as if you read But I Want to Fly, because I had the experience of spending a big chunk of my life trying to live for external validation rather than for my own internal alignment and joy. And so that's really my mission, is to help people live their lives in alignment and do it through business as a vehicle for self-expression and leadership in the world.
I love that. So let's dive a little deeper into that topic in terms of what have readers told you about the book? And I also want, at some point, I don't know if you're going to share the link. I'll write it here. If you're going to read the book, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But I want people. I'm sorry.
whatever you want. Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome. Because I do want to see if you can share it with us. And let's go into a little bit about what readers have said regarding the book already. Because I saw you kind of sharing it, performing it almost, and it was so relatable to me. So I want to hear some of the remarks, some of the reviews of what women in particular have said about this beautiful book. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, well, so the reaction is often one of a lot of emotion. So when I read it, I just had my book kind of official launch in Miami a few days ago, and really, by and large, people are touched, are moved, and they often cry. And the reason for that is I think that it speaks to a human desire for self-expression and for living life on our terms. So this is the book. I'll just kind of give you so you can understand what we're talking about. This is the slip cover. This
So
is an
here's what I'm
image.
going to do. I'm going to take myself off so you can
Okay.
share the book.
Oh, thank you. All right. So this is this book in its slip cover, and this is one of the main images from the book. It's my favorite image, actually. It's her right, before all the stuff happens, which I'll talk about in a minute, and she's staring out into over the field, and just kind of taking it all in, and it's sunrise. And so this is the book. It's called But I Want to Fly. an adventure book for dreamers of all ages. And it's an illustrated poem. It's about a 4.5-minute long poem, kind of in the style of like a Dr. Seuss or a Shel Silverstein. It's kind of whimsical and it's also deeper. There's like the surface layer version of it, and then there's the deeper symbology of it. And so it's not really for children, although people have been sharing it with their older children. It's really for people who are going through a period of transformation, transition, of darkness, and this is kind of what sparked the book. It is my own story of what I call my dark night of the soul back in 2014. And so the idea of the book, it starts off with V, who has pretty much everything she wants and needs. Well, not wants, I should say, everything she needs, and is dying inside. So she's, this room is meant to look kind of like a bit of a jail cell. And this is the position I found myself in, and a lot of women especially, but everybody finds themselves in, is where we realize we've built a life for ourselves that is not really the one that we wanted or dreamed about. And we're kind of feel trapped in it or stuck in it. It says here, somewhere along the way, she lost her dreams and her desire. She acquired many shiny things and forgot to stoke her fire. And so the book is about the story of her finding herself again, finding her desire, tapping into desire, and deciding to create something from desire, from the dream, and then build it and fly, essentially. So the long story short is she builds a set of wings and then takes them out for a spin. And it's the story of that.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's unfold that a little bit, because the reason,
Evie, your sound is breaking up. You're it's like kind of staticky.
Can you hear me better now?
No.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll put my ears on. I'll be
hey,
the DJ now.
Tech. I mean, it happens. We roll with it. We roll with it.
Yeah. Can you hear me better now?
No, so it seems like it might be your connection, not your speaker or your microphone. No, sorry.
Can you hear me better?
No,
you can't hear me?
No.
Oh no. Okay,
so she's gonna probably restart everything, and I'll just keep telling you a little bit about the book, because since you're here. So she goes on this journey and basically decides to, well, first and foremost, she has to kind of come to terms with the life that she's built and the regret and the shame that she feels in that life. And then from that place of feeling it all and letting it flow through her, which is an experience that I had in 2014 of kind of cracking open, I call it. On the other side, there's a desire, a yearning to be bold. And that's sort of the turning point in the beginning of the story, where it shifts towards, okay, what's happening here? Let me hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's talk about that for a second, because you said that was in 2014. So yeah, for me, I did almost cry, and I absolutely love it. And I can say that I will probably use it when I do my Fab-Rich Future Self journaling retreat in June, because that's exactly the reason why it resonated with me, is because, well, number one, her name is V, my name is Evie. And like, that could be my story, like so totally my story. In December, every December, I evaluate my life. I look at where I am in terms of where I thought I would be when I look back. And then I look at where I want to be this year. And then specifically for me, I'm looking at a 7-year period when I'm proudly to say I'll be 60. And so for me, what happened was that book made me cry, because I totally related to what happened to me in December as I was looking at my life. And you may not know this, but I contracted COVID in December. and I had to stay home. Usually we take off December to go on a vacation, and we do all this type of, journaling and retrospection and looking together, my husband and I, and then we kind of get started for the new year. And so this year I kind of had that V moment. I'm going to call it the V moment. And then all of a sudden my husband says, I said I wanted something different to make me feel more like who I thought I wanted to be in 7 years, and who I wanted to show up as in my life. And so my husband says something about, well, why don't you write that book that you've been talking about? And then he said something about, why don't you have it published through Hay House? And of course, you may know me as always talking about marketing, specifically email marketing. And I said to him, well, Hay House does not write marketing books. They do actually, but I didn't know that. And so what happened was that Reed Tracy from Hay House decided to do a 4-day challenge. And I stumbled upon it. I joined it, and I joined the writers community. And well, long story short, I'm now a Hay House authorpreneur. And so my book will be coming out anywhere between 12 to 24 months. And it is a journal book. So I submitted the 50-page book proposal that I had to submit. I did everything in less than 3 months. So I want you to tell us a little bit more about that inspiration for that V moment, because right now I know that some women are either watching, which by the way, the reason why it just got disturbed, because I went into the fabrichwomen.com page where I am live streaming embedded in there, and I think that's what threw me off. But I know some women are watching there. Some women may be watching later in one of my YouTube channels and Instagram or somewhere on the internet. And I know that women everywhere are having those V moments. So I want you to elaborate about that, because I'm hoping people feel, number one, I want people to buy this book. And number two, I want you, who have been an inspiration to me, not just because of this book, but because, well, we met over 15 years ago. So I'll let you speak, because I'm just so excited. I'm so grateful that you're here. So I'll stay quiet now. Wait, now you're muted. Hold on, what happened?
Oh,
Okay.
muted.
Okay.
No, okay. I'm so excited to be here. It's a thrill, and yeah, we go way back, you and me, girl. So the thing with the V moment, so I'll kind of parallel V's moment and my moment. So what I think the book is it's a joyful, beautiful journey. It's fun. It's interesting. It's beautiful.
Wait.
And also, there we are.
Both of us, I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
It's a little too long trying. Go ahead.
But it's also kind of a metaphor for what I call so I like to say that the breakdown precedes the breakthrough. And that's my story. In 2014, I had a massive, I would call it a breakdown. It's not an official breakdown. I don't have it written in a medical record somewhere, but I certainly saw my share of therapists and coaches and acupuncturists and hypnotists. And I did all the things because in 2014, my health, I was engaged to be married, and my business all fell apart all at the same time. Primarily because I had this big breakup and I took my foot off the gas of the business, and I was the business at the time. So everything fell apart. And what I know now in hindsight is that all that I thought I was all this external stuff. I thought that I was my business. I thought that I was my relationship. I thought that I was my physical body, right? And so when my physical body started to break down, I got sick. I got, pretty seriously sick. My fiance and I broke up in a very dramatic way, and my business crashed. I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't realize that I had so over-identified with all these things that were external to me, and I really didn't have a sense of self separate from those things. So that was my breakdown. And in 2014, I met a mentor who sort of helped me pick up the pieces and opened me up to a spiritual life that I did not have. I was a self-avowed atheist from the time I was 19 years old. And from then until 39, so whatever that is, 20 years, I had no spiritual practice or belief system whatsoever. And he really inspired me to learn and grow. I mean, he's the one that started me meditating and yoga and all the things that I don't even want to get into. And I discovered a very rich inner world for the first time. I had always lived my life for the external accolades, achievements, the grades, the approval, the titles, the diplomas, and I had all those things on lock. And yet somehow I was not happy. I was not only not happy, I was depressed and pretty miserable. So that's my breakdown to break through story. And then what happened was at the end, like during that process, I also reinvented my business. I reinvented everything. And so I started the build, which is what V does here. She has the breakdown, she has the dark night of the soul. And then all of a sudden this dream drops in like, oh, I'm feeling inspired. I love this image because it implies that she's inspired by nature, which was a big part of my healing, was getting in touch with nature, going to Sedona, taking a road trip in the Southwest United States, all that. So she has this new dream. And then first she tries to tell people about it and they make fun of her. She shares her dream with some she knew, the ones she most respected, but met with doubt and ridicule, which left her quite dejected. That's her right here. So she tells people about it. They don't really support her. She doubts herself. And then finally she gets into the studio and starts to work and she starts to make a plan. So you can see her here, like mapping out you can see her drawing a set of wings here. And in the meantime, she's turning her fear into courage. She's channeling it into what I call the build. So there's the breakdown, the breakthrough, and then the build. And the build is in my case and in her case, there's an inner build and there's an outer build in the world. And these terms come from one of my mentors, Nanilea Diamond. She uses this terminology about the inner build and the outer build. So here's the outer build. V goes into the workshop and starts, cutting and screwing and hammering and all the things. Meantime, she's also doing the inner build, like meditating and see these two creatures here. I didn't mention them earlier, but if you notice in the beginning of the book, they're separate. Now they're together. These represent her heart and her mind. So this is her little heart. This is her little mind. And they're finally coming together and being part of the process instead of being separated. And so that's the story. Like I redid the business. I reorganized everything in the business. And it started to take off. And I believe it started to take off because of the combination of the inner work and the outer work, which I'd never done before. I'd only ever worked externally. I'd only ever done things through neck up, mind, mental strategizing. And this time I did it with the underpinning of the inner work. And that was the big shift for me. And that's, really what changed my life and gave me the inspiration to write this book, which, by the way, long story, very short, actually came to me in a dream about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Michelle. I love that. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I do.
I love that because I've admired you for so long and I've seen your entire transformation. I think I told you that before you did your first event, I think I was at your second event. What year did you do your second Women's Summit?
2010 or 2011.
Oh my. So 2011. So we're talking over 10 years. I had met you once coming into the Miami Convention Center. And I never forget, you came with your markers, you stood up, you introduced yourself. And so I never knew you had so much success externally that I would have never thought that you could be the type of person, the type of woman that could have the breakdown, definitely the breakthrough, which we all go through. And it just goes to show that we are all human and we are more alike than different. And there's only truly, as we say in the unity movement, only one of us here.
Only one of us here.
Yes. And so, I love that you share that story because it gives me and others hope. I mean, now, you've written this book right? And I love the name of your business, and I want to kind of go into a little bit about how you restructure your business, because I named this "How to Enjoy Retreat Riches," because I think that I first of all, I love the word retreat, and I love that you chose the word retreat. I am calling mine retreat too, because I find that it's such a more it's a more spiritual word. So let's kind of transition how you went
Yeah.
from that, giving people hope, those that may not know you, in terms of the outer world. As far as I know, and I've known her for at least over 10 years, she's always been a successful woman entrepreneur. And not only that, even before she became an entrepreneur, right? Because I was reading a little bit more about you. You did very well in school. You got your MBA. You got great grades in school. So you've always been overall very, very successful. And yet, something happened. It's interesting because just this weekend I was at the Hay House conference and I met Brendan Burchard, and he had a similar story to you, by the way. He had a breakdown from a breakup too.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing. And I say this to really impress upon those that are watching that, number one, we shouldn't tear ourselves down when we have a breakdown, if we do or if we don't, or if we have a falling, because we can look at us falling forward into our next great adventure, and there's going to be a breakthrough that comes from that, and we all experience it. And we never know what other people that we admire, like I admire Michelle, are going through, and there's hope. So we can look at all the facets that are interesting about us, in particular us fabulous women. So let's go into that, how you transition from that, and how and what you're doing now in terms of your overall business. How are you putting in this spiritual book? Because really, I feel that this is a spiritual book
Yeah.
into your business and in what you're doing.
Well, okay. So thank you for all of that, Evie. That's so kind of you to say that. I really appreciate it. Um, so the business, so before 2014, I'll say before the breakdown and after the breakdown, or let's say before the breakthrough and after the breakthrough. Before, I was just, my focus when I left my job and started my business in 2007, my primary focus was to replace my income. That was my fear. I was very fear driven and scarcity driven at the time. I didn't know these terms or these concepts back then, but I was basically just trying to prove to my parents, my old boss, my old colleagues, to the world that I could make it. And so I did not start the business with any sort of vision or dream. I mean, maybe a little bit, but the vision or dream was, I'm going to show them, I'm going to make a ton of money, and I'm going to, be my own boss, because bosses suck. That was kind of the energy from which I was creating the new thing. And that lasted for about 7.5 years. And what that led to was a business that had no clear direction, no dream, no vision. It was just hustle. It was constant hustle. And that's why I got sick, because I was a workaholic. I worked all hours. I didn't take time off. And the only way that I would let off steam was by going out and drinking and partying. So I was like burning the candle at both ends, very unhealthy lifestyle. So that was 7.5 years worth of that breakthrough. My mentor, he was doing these small events. I was doing these big events. You remember the Women's Success Summit? You talked about it. Hundreds of women and, dozens of speakers and sponsors and ticket sales and complexity and all that. And I was barely monetizing it, because I was trying to make money just on the ticket sales and the sponsorships, because that's what I learned at Ocean Drive magazine, where I'd worked before, which was how you make money on events is sponsorships and ticket sales. I never dreamed of getting up there and offering my services at the event, at least not at first. And then when I tried to do that, I was so embarrassed and so afraid that I made, the offers were terrible. Nobody bought anything. So the transformation I made after the breakthrough was to basically, I started phasing out those large events and started doing these small 10-person retreats at a higher price point. And that proved to be really energy rich. I really loved doing that. And then at that 10-person retreat, I would invite people to join my 1-year group coaching program called the Inner Circle. And that model worked really, really well. And it's been working well for 9 years. And for the last 5 or 6 now, I've been helping other people build their own versions of that model. And I really want to specify their own versions, because I don't believe that I don't believe in like cookie cutter business models. You know, I believe that you've got to align it to your personality, to your desires. So my model right now is, at the moment, and it's actually changing in September or after September, at the moment, is I do this business breakthrough retreat program where people come in and do what I did. They reinvent their business model, their business, and they get introduced to certain personal development principles that will support them transitioning to the new model. That's a 3-day program. I do it in Miami. I've been doing it now for many years. I've done it like 40 something times. And then I enroll people who are a fit. Not everybody gets enrolled. Not everybody even gets invited. But for the people who are really, really ready and who it feels like a good match, they come into this 1-year program called Influencer Circle. And then from there, after that 1 year, they have the option, and if we feel it's a good and aligned match, for them to keep going into to stay in the program for 2 more years and 2 more years. So it's a 2-year renewal cycle. And that's created a massive amount of stability in my life and my business, because all I do is focus on getting great people into that 3-day. And if I do that, then the right people always enroll into the 1 year. And that's just, you know, and then that's monthly recurring revenue. That's stability. I don't have to kill myself. You know, it provides the foundation from which I can create this kind of stuff, you know, because I'm not hustling all the time like I was in the past.
Oh my God. So, I want to talk a little bit about that, how do you put them together? But let me just say a few things, because you said so much. I so can relate, and I know so many women can relate. And I just love the authenticity, which it's so beautiful to just be transparent and to not try to be something that we're not. And I love that about you. And I love that I see that as an attribute in very successful people. And I love that. And I tell you that because I see it in you. And this weekend, like I said, I spent Thursday through Monday with Gabby Bernstein. Oh my God, like so many just amazing people. And they're telling their story and they're being themselves in such a transparent way that gives us hope that, once again, we are all humans. And I don't know, how many people are like me, but I always had put these people in these pedestal. And as I get older, I see how much we are alike, like I mentioned. So you talked about the hustling. I can relate to that. And I love that you're saying that, because that used to be me. And as a matter of fact, me and my brother in New York, who's actually a physician, our song used to be, every day we're hustling, every day we're hustling. And I was so proud. I was like, my brother who's a doctor can sing this with me. I'm like, and the reason why I mention him is because it doesn't matter, I think now, my belief now, whether you're just starting, you're a small business, or you're a physician making $500,000 a year, hustling doesn't work. Agree?
Not if, in my opinion, not if you want to be healthy, happy, joyful. There's a certain amount of hustle that I still do. Like I'm willing to work. I'm willing to pick up the phone and call people to enroll them in my events. I'm willing to do that, and it's work that I enjoy. I'm not willing to hustle the way I used to, of like forcing myself to do things that I hated because I felt like I had to, or I should, or I was trying to prove something. It's the energy from which we do these things.
And that's so key. And I love, and I want to go back to the fact that you said that you make phone calls, but I love that you said about the energy, because I think now that I've done a few events in terms of the energy, and I love that you really, it's not a BS that you go one-on-one with people, because I know a little bit about what you do. And I understand it now, because one bad energy apple in the bunch really can take away your energy and disrupt the energy that you're creating. So I'm totally in alignment with that. Now let's talk a little bit about what you do to attract and the work, because here's the deal. You mentioned inspired energy, I think you said. I really like inspired action, and it's very different now, because I used to be like, well, wait, does that mean that if I don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it? No, for me it doesn't mean that. It means that it feels like you said, that it's the right energy, that it's not something that is so, that it makes me tired, or I'm feeling like, I'm carrying something heavy on top of me. So let's talk a little bit about that energy, and exactly about, how do you select and how do you attract those right people to your retreats? Because you said, which it surprises me, because I do not make phone calls like that. So I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first thing is, there's so much in what you're saying and what we're talking about. Um, how do I do it? So my primary sources of inbound business, and most of it is inbound, or all of it is inbound at this point, are YouTube, speaking engagements, and then referrals, personal connections. And with 15 years under my belt, I have, a lot of people that have come through my events. So I have lists right now. I'm working through lists of people, calling people up, texting people, messaging people, because I have an event coming up in Miami on July 1st and 2nd. And I want people to come. So I'm reaching out personally. And there's no, and for the 3-day retreat that I do, every single person that comes to that event has a conversation with me. I had it before. At one point, from about 2016 till about 2018 or 19, I did have somebody else handling those calls. And she decided to leave, and I was terrified. I was like, oh no, what am I going to do without her? And I had to rise up. And so I've been doing the calls myself now since 2000, I think 18, or maybe 19. I don't remember what year she left, but doing the calls and the enrollments myself. And I'm taking a lot off my plate, and I haven't taken that off yet, because I feel like it's such an important part of curating the community that comes through the event and comes through the big back end into the inner circle. So I have a call with everyone that enrolls into that program. For the Superstar Summit that's coming up, that's something where I don't have to personally curate everything, but I am not leaving it up to email marketing and, social ads. Like there are people that I want in that room. I'm going to reach out to them and invite them personally, including you, Evie, by the way. I would love for you to come to that. I mean, you'd be fantastic. So I'm working through the list. What was that?
No, you'll tell us about that. I want to hear all about what's coming.
Yeah, I'd love to tell you about it. And I'll tell you about it in a moment, but I'll just say that that was a big breakthrough for me, was to just get to commit to picking up the phone and reaching out and calling people and just staying connected with people. I feel like that's one of the most effective and little used strategies in business and marketing. It's just picking up the phone, or I use text a lot, because that's what I prefer. I personally like people to text me. I like to text back on my time. So, unless I know that I'm going to get a warm reception, I'll usually text message.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to learn that. And I don't know, maybe we'll end a little early just so that I can just chime in and talk to you personally about that, because I'm not a good texter, because I have to use these things and I don't like using them all the time. Like I have to use them now. So this weekend, but now that this book is so important with any book, but traditional books, the first thing they'll tell you, a publisher will, that is, you have to have a platform, you have to have a list. And so one of the things that I'm doing now, I'm part of 30 women that we are collaborating together and co-promoting each other through our email and social media. And it happened that someone invited me, actually from the Florida NSA chapter, to be one of the 30 women. And also, I was just getting ready to launch that myself. I'm doing it in July. We'll see if it coordinates with your thing. But That has been very helpful for me to grow the list. And then this weekend, I love events where you can meet other women. I was in the Hay House conference, which is my people, my community, because this is a spiritual journey. This journaling comes with 5 chapters. So it was so easy for me, even though I've always, people don't believe this, but I've always been shy. People don't know that a lot of us speakers are naturally shy people. And I remember going to that Hay House, I Can Do It conference years ago when Dr. Wayne Dyer was launching the Power of Intention. And I have a picture that I shared on social media with him, 2 pictures. He signed my book. We actually got to talk. And I remember what a horrible event that was because I was so shy, believe it or not, that I didn't like networking. And so I didn't speak to people. This time, I met so many magnificent women that I offer them, like a little version of my audiobook coming up. And the last day, they all met up with me in the VIP room because I was VIP. And we took a picture, and now we have a Facebook group just for the women that I met, which was not a lot. It's about like 20 women, but still 20 women. They gave me their phone numbers. I've been texting them. I told them to join me in the Facebook group. And I'm like, what a difference. I had to do something a little bit out of my comfort zone. So as you're speaking, I'm just hearing, like, I'm saying, this was so beautiful. So whoever's listening to this in the replay, there's a message here for you. Take a look and listen, because there are no coincidences. I love that someone taught me God incidences. This is a God incidence, for me at least, that Michelle is sharing this. I hope it is for you. And so what was the next thing I wanted to talk to you? I wanted to tell you more. I wanted you to continue speaking about the whole process for you. And of course, I want you to tell me about your event. Yes, that's what I wanted. I want you to tell me about the Miami event coming up.
Okay, I'll start there then. So, well, this ties into our conversation, Evie, because you were asking about marketing, and I wanted to share that things are shifting. One of the things that I talk about is there's the breakdown, breakthrough, build, but the breakdown precedes the breakthrough, but it doesn't have to. Like, you can break through without breaking down. And the way you do that is proactively. And so the work that I do now with myself and with people, because breaking down isn't very fun. It hurts. It's painful. It's debilitating. At least it was for me. How do you break through without breaking down? Well, you do it proactively by constantly. I call it the dynamic process of aligning your life with truth in every aspect, in every moment. So it's about constantly assessing life and just saying, what's out of alignment here? What doesn't feel good? What standards are too low? What boundaries am I not holding? What dream am I not listening to? Or am I pushing away? Right? Like, always looking at, and there's certain areas of life that I look at. Am I aligned with who I really am, my personality, like what I love to do most? Am I aligned with, and I use the symbol of the star to represent this, a 5-pointed star. So the center of the star is that, am I aligned with myself, with my identity, with who I really am? Am I aligned with that highest point on the star is my purpose, my destiny, my why, my North Star. The 2 legs of the star represent grounding into life, into this physical 3D world. Am I aligned with my life force energy, my self-care? Am I aligned with my values, my standards, my principles? And then the 2 arms is, have I healed the wounds of the past and made peace with the past? And do I have a clear and compelling vision for the future? So that's pretty much the 6 areas of alignment that I'm always tweaking for myself, and that I worked with my clients on. And what I recognized for myself is that I wasn't, and we never are. We're never in perfect alignment. There's no such thing, right? It's like an impossible, but we're always, striving for greater alignment. And what I realized was that I was pretty much feeling complete with my business breakthrough program, that 3-day retreat that I've been doing for 9 years. I feel it's not exciting for me anymore. It's not juicy for me anymore. It's not that I don't love doing it, because I actually do. Once I show up and I'm in the room, it's awesome. But it's the planning of it, the filling it, and all that. And I don't really need it anymore. So September will be my last one. And starting after that next year, I'll be using this as my kind of, I want to start leading people in with I'm getting certified in breath work, and I want to lead this thing called the Awaken Your Inner Superstar, inspired by this breathwork journey. So basically starting to out in the world lead this, I think, 3-hour journey where people come in and they release that which is holding them back from being their fullest expression in the world, and grab onto or let drop in that new vision, that new dream. That's the intention. And the first time I'm going to do it is in July in Miami. I'm doing it with another breathwork practitioner. We're co-facilitating it. And I'm creating this journey with her to give people the experience of that breakthrough in 3 hours. And then, and I should have mentioned this first. I don't know why I didn't, because it happens July 1st. The day before that is I have all my clients gathering in Miami to deliver the Superstar Summit, which each of them will be delivering a short talk, kind of like TEDx, but with heart and soul. It's like a more heartfelt and soulful TEDx, if I can say that. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. So they're going to come and we're going to spend the whole day, and I'm opening the doors to my friends and family and their friends and family to come and watch and to be in the audience. And then the next day to do the Awaken Your Inner Superstar breathwork journey, so that they can tap into what's your big message that wants to be shared? What's your big vision, your big dream? And that's the 2 days, July 1st and 2nd in Miami. And that's my big thing that, that I'm so, so excited about.
Oh, that is great. And I look forward to getting all the details. And I'll definitely tell whoever I can, because I have a webinar in June, and then we have our 1-day journaling retreat. So for sure, and I will be telling the women in our Fabridge community. Absolutely. And of course, it sounds like it's right. What day is it? Is it a Wednesday, Thursday?
Saturday, Sunday. It's Saturday all day is the Superstar Summit. And then Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the Awaken Your Inner Superstar journey.
Okay. Sounds very intriguing.
Evie, have you done any
I
breathwork?
have a while ago, different types. I've always been on this spiritual journey with the Unity movement for 18 years. So it wasn't totally surprising that my book is more spiritual, but I never share that part so much in terms of my business. I was more into my marketing stuff, and that's where I've been, and kind of hiding this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had to be perfect to be able to speak about it and not just be living it, for myself, growing through it. And that's not even true. I mean, none of us is perfect, and no one thinks that you're perfect or that I'm perfect. So it's all good to share what we know. It's all good to share our light for whatever that means for us, for the others, because this is how we empower each other. So I look forward to July 1st and 2nd. In Miami. You're muted again. July 1st, you're muted. Wait.
I didn't
Yeah. Oh, I don't know why I didn't hear you.
Hello. Oh, yeah. July 1st is the Superstar Summit. So it's the all-day performances, the short talks. And then Sunday is the Awaken Your Inner Superstar journey for the people who want to activate their own next version. So I'm weaving in all the things, not all the things, but so just like you, I had kept the spiritual stuff under wraps. I'd kept it, kind of hidden, and I would do it with my clients in the back end programs, but I didn't lead with it. And I'm coming out of the closet, sister, because this is the stuff that's actually made the difference, together with the strategy. I'm not saying that's not important, but it's the integration of the inner and the outer. And I've always led with the outer work. And now I want to start bringing the inner work into the picture and integrating that into my marketing, into my messaging as well.
I absolutely love it. And I look forward to it. And I'm very excited that we connected. Anything else you want to say? Because I know I only have you until 3, and I want to have a little bit more of you. I'm sorry, everybody, for myself, so we can talk a little bit more. Okay. But anything else that you want to share? Because this will be replayed in all my channels, as well as we'll resend it to my email list. Whoever didn't show up, we'll resend it so they remember to watch it. So anything
Well,
else that we should know from
what,
this V breakthrough and this new butterfly that is emerging?
thank you so much. Vivi, I could talk all day, especially with you. Well, I think what I want to share is that, can you hear me okay? Yeah. What I want to share is that the oh God, where do I start? The butterfly. You mentioned the butterfly and the transformation. I think it's, one of the things that I think is pretty funny is that I always thought that the caterpillar just crawled into the cocoon and then grew a set of wings and then popped out of the cocoon and started to fly. And I discovered a few years ago at a butterfly farm that I went to, or butterfly garden or whatever, one of those places that you go with tons of butterflies. What I discovered, and maybe y'all know this, but this was news to me, that the butterfly so what happens is actually the butterfly, there are these cells in the butterfly called imaginal cells. Imaginal cells, cool name, right? That start to have a war with the regular butterfly, the regular caterpillar cells, and they start to basically take over the caterpillar. And they are what they apparently, from the way I see it, they have this vision of what the caterpillar can become, this butterfly. They imaginal cells. They imagine what's possible. And the caterpillar doesn't really want to do it, like the caterpillar, like it becomes like a battle within the caterpillar, and the imaginal cells take charge, and they, create the cocoon, and then the butterfly actually dissolves, the caterpillar, sorry, dissolves in the cocoon. The caterpillar does not just grow a set of wings. The caterpillar dissolves, whereas if you cut open a cocoon before its time, what you will see inside is goo. The caterpillar dissolves into goo, and then the goo, the imaginal cells, reform as a butterfly. And to me, that's like such a metaphor for at least how I felt during that breakthrough experience, was like, I didn't know who I was. Like who I was dissolved and got recreated from a vision and from desire. And so my invitation for everyone here, this has been kind of top of mind this whole season, has been like, the key to breaking through is to let yourself desire what you desire, and to honor that desire and cultivate it like a little flame that you foster, and that you fuel the flame of your desire. Because I believe that desire is destiny's calling card, that whatever you deeply, deeply desire, you desire because it is in your destiny to have that, or to be that, or to do that. And so listen to that. And I feel like so many of us, at least me and a lot of people I know, we tend to put our desires on hold. We suppress them. We don't honor them. And my invitation is to honor your desires. And by the way, if you desire to do any of the things I'm talking about, and you resonate with me, connect with me, just reach out. I'm very accessible. You can email me, you can Instagram me, you can Facebook message me. Eventually I'll see one of them.
What is the best way? Because I want to put it here. When the videos go in the different locations, I'm putting it in the chat. What is the best URL or whatever I can put publicly here?
Yeah, well, so if somebody's actually interested in my programs, and I do have several that I didn't talk about, and the best way to find out is to just set up a call with me. And I have a URL. It's called superstaractivator.com/go. And that will
activator. Hold on, I'm typing a superstar activator.
.com
Mm-hmm.
/go.
Go. I think I got it right. Superstaractivator.go. There it is.
.com/go. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to also put it here. So first of all, let me put it there so it automatically shows up. Continue talking. I'm going to add it as a caption now.
So that is the best way. And that'll kind of ask you a few questions and put you in the right place and guide you to where it makes the most sense. Whether that's it'll give you some free stuff if we don't really have a program that's right for you, or But if you are someone who would be a fit for one of our programs, it'll spit you out to my calendar and you can book a time with me to chat.
Okay, confirm that I got it right. Superstaractivator.com/go.
That's it.
Right? Perfect. So if you're watching, remember, this is not coincidence, it's a God incidence. You want to go ahead and visit superstaractivator.com/go and have a conversation, because this is what Michelle and I just had, a conversation. Michelle, stick around with me for just a few minutes and let me just see. I have someone here. Just stick with me for a few minutes. And I just want to say thank you to you publicly for joining us. I'm so excited to see you again in Miami. And I love the fact that you are just so authentic, so transparent, so giving and loving and kind. And I'm so grateful that you've allowed your light to shine. And of course, Michelle, I see you doing more fabulous things like you always have. And so thank you. Thank all of you who are watching. We appreciate you. And of course, remember to tune in every Wednesday for our Fab Rich Women's Wealth Creation Wednesday show. Also, remember to look in your inbox because we're sending you alerts to let you know we're going live. And like all our channels, join the fabrichwomen.com community because we're a brand new community. And now, if you like to be seen and heard, it's a great opportunity for you because we're just starting to grow. We're less than 100 women there. We just started a few months ago, but it is your opportunity to join us and to go through this experience and these types of experiences that we're going to go with Michelle up in July. So please make sure you go to fabrichwomen.com. For today, make sure you visit that superstaractivator.com/go. Michelle, thank you so much. Please hold on with me for a few minutes while I say goodbye to everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Evie Diaz, strategic growth speaker at bizniversity.com, author of the Fab Rich Future Self Now Journal. Remember, that name might change. And also the leader of the Fab Rich Women community. I am so grateful for you watching, whether on live or the replay. And I want to hear from you. So make sure you touch base with Michelle and myself so we can have a one-on-one conversation and truly connect. Thank you so much.